Welcome back. You're watching News Sources. Now, former devolution CS Anne Waigiuru has announced her entry into the Kirinyaga governorship battle. Waigiuru, who was rumored to have been interested in the Nairobi seat, seems to have a change of heart and mind and now wants to unseat the current governor. So what does Anne exactly want? But first, let's take a listen to what she told us a few months ago.
Would you consider a career in politics?
No.
5, 10 years?
Never.
Many points to your homecoming
Never, ever.
as one that was grooming you for politics.
No, not at all. I just went for a Thanksgiving service. In fact, when we started planning for it, I thought I'd have 300 people. So I was actually surprised that it generated that amount of interest. I have absolutely no interest in politics. I don't think that will ever change. I'm a technocrat, has always been, and I will finish at technocrat level.
Okay.
Well, good evening, Anne.
Good evening, James.
Well, I'm a fair man, so I'll allow you to explain. A few months ago, you said you had absolutely no interest in politics, technocrat through and through. What has changed?
Well, circumstances have changed. Life changes, and with it, it rearranges whatever it is you had thought to do. So at that time, if you ask me, I was going to be a technocrat for life. But in the last several months, we've had various consultations with many people, and they've persuaded me to try and serve in politics, and I've accepted to do that.
Well, the question then is, very, like you say, things have changed, and that's also very interesting because every Kenyan can see the change. But are you a politician because of circumstances, or a politician because you want to do something for the people? What informs your politics then?
James, whether you're in public service or in politics, you get into it to serve. So there's no major difference between public service and actually politics, the kind of politics that I'm looking for, like being a governor. Because at the end of the day, you are an administrator in a county and you actually have responsibilities to govern, just like you did when you were a technocrat. The only difference is the route to get to a governor position requires you to campaign and get the endorsement of people in the grassroots. That's the only difference. And so it's really not a political job as such. The process of getting there is political, but the work is very similar to that which the technocrats do.
All right, and we'll just clarify that interview was done in 2014, so it's about 2 years, so quite some change. But you are rumored to be interested in the Nairobi seat, and you made some initial political moves that were interpreted political moves. You'll tell me if they are not political moves. What has changed between wanting to be the Nairobi governor and now going to Kirinyaga? Those are two different counties, two different problems.
True. James, if you remember, it wasn't me who announced that I wanted to be governor of Nairobi. I was in a meeting with women and they requested that I stand for the seat in Nairobi. And actually that's where the conversation on politics started. And what I said and I promised at that time is that I will consult, I will go around and I will give my feedback. And I've done that over the several months now, I think about 8 months, 7 months or so. And I've made my final decision that if I'm going to get into politics, I will do it from my home county, which is Kirinyaga.
All right. My final question before I allow my journalist colleagues to have a go. Here's the thing: you're joining TNA last week on Friday, Thursday. It's 2 weeks. You could have waited for 2 weeks to join Jubilee, the big party that is being created by the president and the deputy. Why did you have to join TNA? You could have waited for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks only.
Actually, I said it even during the press conference. For me to be able to participate in the process of merger and actually the function that's going to be there between the 8th and the 10th, you need to be a member of a party. You can't walk in from outside, and so it was imperative that you join. The second thing is that whatever membership you have of a party, once that party merges in the Jubilee party, you're automatically a member. So it's really just like joining Jubilee. Everybody who's in TNA will be a member of Jubilee. So it works very well if you think about it.
All right.
Well, Hello there, aspirant governor. My name is Moses Michira. I'm a reporter here at the Standard. Now, I have a question. I don't seem to be getting to forgive you for NYS, and I feel very bad. Well, none of my personal money was lost, to put it that way. But do you think, or do you feel that the Kenyans have forgiven you?
Let me put it this way, very clearly, that I was not responsible for the loss of money. So it's not about forgiving me, because I was not the manager of that money. I was running an institution. If you remember, I was actually the whistleblower on that issue. So I carried out my duties as expected. What happened was a witch hunt that followed, and a lot of media hype, which you also know. And therefore, if you ask me, people in Kirinyaga and everybody else who's been asking me to understand that a lot better than many of the people who may want to twist that story. Even since that time, there have been investigations that have been carried out, and action has been taken. And that is what happens when these kind of situations happen. You cannot stop them. They happen in media houses, for example, even in your institutions. They happen in banks. They happen in the private sector. The issue is, how do you deal with it? And we dealt with it the best way we could, and there would be no other action. I think you would talk about forgiving me if I was the one who had stolen the money. But if I am not the one who stolen the money and somebody else came into my house and stole, you cannot blame me for a thief breaking into my house and stealing in my house. So that is what happened. And therefore, the issue of forgiveness, if you ask me, doesn't arise in that way.
Well,
the second thing
yes,
is, I think there's a lot of focus. Let me just finish. There's a lot of focus. Issue of the 791. I want to remind you of the impact of the National Youth Service, which you, the media, don't actually talk about. We started off National Youth Service with just 2,000 people recruited in the service. Today, by the time I was leaving, there were about 35,000 to 40,000 people recruited, training every single day in engineering, in tailoring, in other business and ICT, and many other professions. Nobody talks about that. All we talk about is the 791, which the issue has been addressed, as I have said. The second thing is, we had no impact whatsoever with the community youth, none. By the time I left, we were recruiting over 80,000 youth who, even until today, are still recruited, still getting paid, and have a source of income, and have been empowered since 2013. So you cannot focus completely on one side and completely ignore the progress that the National Youth Service has done. And what I have chosen to do, even in this conversation in politics, is to continue to try and remind people the conversation that actually doesn't get there, the impact of the program. The program benefited very many youth. Until today, many of them, I'm in touch with them, and they say, thank you for having started that program. Thank you that you whistle blowed. Other than the noise that was made because of the cartels who are angry about the whistleblowing, and the media witch hunt, which, by the way, it was driven by the media and social media. You cannot have said that there was no impact with National Youth Service. So what you should actually be doing is commending us for the work that we did in the National Youth Service, and also managing to stop the theft that was actually going to happen there. So you cannot blame somebody for an institution.
Yeah, I must ask you a follow-up question on that.
A situation that is not in their control.
Yes. Yeah, a follow-up question on that, because you seem to suggest that you are failed by a media witch hunt, which you've said there was a media witch hunt. And secondly, the question is then, so who failed you? Did your government fail you by not highlighting all these things you're talking about now, which are proper things that you say? So who failed you?
We tried. I think we tried, James. I think we tried. In between June and November, there was 26 headlines on the issue of NYS, and my face, not just NYS. Since then, we've had very many issues of money lost. The Auditor General has released very many reports, but I've never seen anyone's face on the cover of a newspaper attached to their institution's losses. That tells you it was a deliberate witch hunt, and we know that it was. And let's just accept that it was, and we knew that it was, and move on from there, and say, okay, fine, that happened, and circumstances have changed, and has changed.
You've had
some people as well.
Yes,
but you cannot ignore the fact that that was actually what happened.
All right, and I'll take that, but say, here's the thing: you have a benefit of doubt for the last few months, as you know, to look at from the outside. So, who exactly led the witch hunt?
And sorry, and as you're answering that, could you also comment
no,
on...
let me put it this way.
I'm sorry, and I was just asking a question tied to that. Do you enjoy any protection from State House as is popular perception?
I think you've asked that question so many times. Protection how?
Well, you remember very well when the ESCC or when the accusations first came out.
I think I will skip that question because I think we are going in the wrong direction.
All right. Okay.
I have absolutely
Rosalie?
no protection.
Okay.
You have not had any. Let me put it this way. You have not had any direct accusations leveled against me with regard to the loss of NYS, and I think
Fair enough.
that I will repeat several times.
Fair
There
enough.
is absolutely no. Wait. Let me finish.
Yes.
There is no direct link with me as an individual. There have been audit reports, there have been investigations by CID, there have been investigations by ESCC. You haven't had me as an individual mentioned. So what protection would you be having?
All right.
I mean, if there was any issue, you would know because there is a public platform for you to know that, right?
I'll take that.
So there is no such thing as public protection from anyone.
I'll accept that.
I
Rosalie?
have not been protected by anyone. As a matter of fact, James,
Yes.
if I had done anything, 10 months or so ago, you would have known. Because the people who wanted me out of office because of their anger for the work I had done wanted me out and were looking for something.
Yeah.
If by now you haven't had anything, you should know.
All right.
Yeah? So I think even for the media to be fair, they need to reflect and ask themselves the role they played. And they know themselves. I mean, and you know, you're in the media, you know. James,
right.
you want to tell me that you didn't know it was a witch hunt?
I'll
Are
take
you
that.
trying to tell me that you didn't know that there were people actually pushing for certain stories to be put in the newspaper? You tell me. You're the people in the press.
I will
you
take
want
that.
To, can you take a Bible and swear and say that you had no idea that there is somebody driving a vendetta against me? You can't say that.
All right.
I don't think any of you there who are in the press know, even in the backroom conversations.
Yes.
So let's accept that there was a witch hunt, yes. Some people
At least I
wanted
don't
me out
know.
for whatever
Okay.
reason.
Let's move to the next
Fine.
issue. Yes. Let's move to the next issue.
Right?
Yes. Let's move to the next issue.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm Roslyn here. I admire your courage. You've stood up for
Hi,
women.
Roslyn.
Yes. Now, just to reflect, you are in a very powerful ministry. You are handling the youth. You are handling women. And we admired what you do. Where you are as you head to contest the gubernatorial position in Kirinyaga, do you feel that you have delivered for the youths of this country and the women of this country?
Thanks, Rosalind, for that. And I will say it again. I think given the statistics for National Youth Service, I'll replay them. When I walked into the National Youth Service as a Minister for Devolution, there was only 2,000 youth. By the time I left, there was over 35,000, between 35,000 and 40,000 recruited within NYS. On top of that, there was never community youth programs. We had over 80,000 youth across the country engaged in various constituencies under youth empowerment programs, earning an income which they never used to earn before. Above that, this youth had saved over 1 billion shillings in their circles, money that they can now reinvest in business. Now let's just talk about youth without even going to anything else. That is an impact in itself. We don't talk about it, but I have an impact. I did it, and it happened, and it was a good thing. Some people were not happy about it for political reasons, which you know, but that happened, and it's still there until today. I had an impact where the youth were concerned. Let's talk about women. We had the Uwezo Fund, for example, which was one of the funds that we were giving money to women to start businesses. There was a 30% initiative in government until today. 30% of tenders go to women and youth. That was also my initiative. And until today, even after I've left government, it still continues. A good proportion of government tenders are secured for that category because of the initiatives that we started, the ACPO initiative. And you cannot take that away from us. I'll give you another one that we usually don't associate with women and youth, and that is the Huduma centers. Now, Huduma centers, 40 Huduma centers within 2 years in 40 counties. That was a feat. Even the international institutions such as the UN recognized and gave us first position in the world. I mean, today if you lose your ID, if you go to a Huduma center near you, don't even need to go to the chief's office. You'll get an ID within 10 days.
All right.
You don't need to come to Nairobi to sort out your lands issues.
Okay.
You can get that from the Huduma Center, your NSSF,
Very
your
well said.
NHIF, your tax returns. I mean, 40 government services. I think I delivered for the women and youth of this country, and not just that, but for everybody in this country, and anyone who cares to be honest, to
Yes.
look within themselves and actually ask themselves rationally will accept that I actually outperformed went beyond the expectations of anybody
All
and
right.
anyone who had actually expected anything to be delivered. from
Let's
government.
go to the next issue.
My name is Dominic Wabala. I want to ask you one thing. Do you feel confident that you are going to get clearance from EACC? Because at some point of time, you called yourself a whistleblower. They referred to you as a person of interest, raided your house, I believe in your absence, and did all that. Are you confident that you're going to get a clearance from them in your aspiration to run as Governor Kirinyaga?
Let me tell you something. If there is nothing, you know there is nothing. So I'm very confident I will get a clearance. There is absolute, by now you would know, it's 7 or 8 months. If there was anything by now, you would know. You would know it. So we are going to wait, continue waiting. My lawyer has written several times asking for that clearance. We haven't seen it, or asking for the way forward or what the findings have been. We will wait for it. But in my conscience, I know there is absolutely nothing. So there is nothing that you can say. They never told you anything about what they found in my house. They never said anything about thereafter if there was anything. Actually, they've been moving between person of interest and whether I'm really under investigation or whatever the issue is. But whatever it is, eventually the truth, it's very difficult to hide the truth. The truth is coming out every single day in front of your eyes. I mean, you have seen what the progress, I mean, the things that's happening with regard to NYS in front of you, even in relation to EACC. So that in itself, you can't hide the truth. The truth will eventually come out. And comes out maybe very slowly, maybe not at our pace, but it will eventually come out. And so we hope for the best.
And I want to go to your ambitions for a second here. Again, going back to Kirinyaga. Why Kirinyaga County, and why do you think you are the person to sort out their problems? What is that one thing that makes you the person?
Well, one, I have the track record. Kirinyaga is my home county, and you can run, when you want to be a governor, you can run either in an urban area like Nairobi. I think that's the only place you can run if you, anyone can run, and then you can run in your home county. And so I chose to run in my home county after various consultations with many people. The second thing is, why do I feel that I'm the right person? One, I have the experience, and you have just heard how I have delivered for the women and the youth of this country, and also I was the Minister for Devolution in terms of making sure that our counties are up and running and effectively. That I did very well, and we did that in the first 3 years, including the transfer of functions. And I also understand the needs of the Kirinyaga people. I have family there. We come from there. We know the problems that we have with regard to infrastructure, healthcare, agriculture, and we know that those things can be resolved if we were actually just focused. And I think with the experience that I have in government, having been a civil servant, even before becoming a minister, I think I have the requisite skills to meet the requirements to be a governor in Kirinyaga.
Okay, my absolute final question, 10 seconds or less. When you are resigning, you said your doctor's advice, you are to take lighter duties. Has your doctor advice changed now? You can take on serious, heavy duties on politics?
Well, you don't need a doctor's advice to move on. At that point in time, because of the pressure, there was a certain issues, but I can tell you that it has been 10 months of rest, and I feel great and strong, and I believe that I'm able to take this one on.
And Waigiuru, please come again, and let's discuss these difficult issues when you have time. Well,
thanks, James.
Thank you very much. You're talking there to former devolution CS and Waigiuru. Seriously defending herself. 10 seconds or less. The panel, how do you feel? How did that go?
I think she
has a chance?
She has a chance, but I know that the incumbent governor has deep pockets. I don't know if she does. Campaigning entails having deep pockets. It will cost a lot.
Yeah, Rosalind, has she done a good job for women and young people in this country?
She's tried to defend her position, and the society is very cruel to women. You have to do twice the double of what men have done to be seen to have worked. So I think let's give her benefit of doubt and support her and see where she will go.
Well, yes, she's talked about her record and all the good things she's done.
Yeah.
Bravo. But after doing all those things, if you lose my money, you mismanage my taxes, I think
There's still
it's a
questions.
bit painful. It's a bit
Yeah.
painful. You may forgive me, but and do find it to be a bit.
Did she answer your questions?
Well, I do not think so, and specifically the support from TNA, maybe not specifically from State House, but she seems to be having, you know, very very close support from very powerful people, and I think that is really going to help her in aspirations. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think 10 months or so she's really changed. Her focus is clearly now, you know, into the governorship race. And I think the issues that were in the Ministry of Devolution, I think now she can possibly eloquently put the problems and eloquently discuss about them. I think that's what I found her, you know, from tonight, you know, that she can eloquently discuss issues that were in the ministry then very competently and answer several questions as opposed to when she was in there, which is very interesting. All right. That does it for us here on Resources. Moses Mishira, Rosalind Obala, and Dominic Obala. Always a pleasure to have you guys on the program. So let's do this all over again.